What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Wars in the Stars, episode number 50. 50 episodes into the show. We got a Book of Boba Fett episode 2 review. Obviously, as you can see, Alex is not here. I am not sure the reason and why, but he's not here. Might as well just start the show, get my thoughts out of the way about the Book of Boba Fett. I'm also probably going to touch on a little bit about the DC extending universe rumors. Talk about Morbius being delayed and what that could mean. But I want to thank you all for joining in on the show. Really appreciate it. And yeah, really excited to talk about a second week in a row of live action Star Wars. First piece of Disney Plus Marvel content to pop in. So let me just give my non-spoiler just reaction and review. A really solid episode. So I very much view episode 1 as a prelude. I said that last week. And this is the first chapter, essentially. It's like the first chapter of the book. The first one's kind of the background. But I really love that first episode. I mean, I don't love it. I like it a lot. It's really solid. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I'd give this one an easy 8.5 to maybe even a 9, a low 9 out of 10. But this episode was really good. I love the lore with the Tuscan Raiders. I love the setup we have going on in the present day Mandoverse. We'll touch on that in a bit. I love the character study of Boba Fett. There hasn't been a lot narratively for the present day. I mean, of total footage of present day, I think I did the math on this right. There's about 13 or so minutes in this episode. There's like 10 or so. It's around like only 25 minutes of Mandoverse footage itself, but of post Return of the Jedi, era footage around that same year with the Tuscans. There's probably like 40 to 50 minutes worth in there itself. So that's all really cool and really interesting. Now, of course, I do want the show to focus more on the present day, but the show, very much so in its first 2 episodes, is very reminiscent of season 1 of The Mandalorian, those first 3 episodes, where we built the character of Din Djarin. He doesn't have a lot of dialogue, though, like Din didn't in those first 3 episodes. We kind of just see what type of character he is through his actions and through his interactions with people, right? Through Din's interactions with Quill and Grogu, Baby Yoda at the time, when he was just a captive, right? He was just a bounty for Din. And we see what Boba is at this time in Return of the Jedi. And we also see what Boba's like now as the Dining of Mos Espa, the ruler of Jabba's palace. Now, Boba's palace. So I kind of want to dive now into the episode. Obviously, we had... we open the episode up with Fennec taking the prisoner back into Boba's palace. We get the famous shot of the palace opening up, very reminiscent of Luke Skywalker and the rest of the gang entering and Return of the Jedi. Brings the prisoner in. Boba asks, "Where is this from? Where are you from? Who hired you?" We learn that this character, this assassin, is a Night Wind assassin. Obviously, a very famous assassin. I was watching somebody's video earlier today. I am not sure if I'm remembering this correctly, but I don't believe we have a canon mention or even a Legends mention of Nightwind. And that's what it said in the site subtitles. I thought it was Nightwing. But watching the subtitles actually really helps a lot. Sometimes you'll pick up on stuff you didn't. So yeah, we learn that this assassin was sent by the Ithorian mayor in a really good scene, where they try every single method to get the information out of him, and then they drop him in the Rancor pit. The gates open very similarly to how they do in Return of the Jedi when Luke is down there. Obviously, no Rancor, um, which I kind of want to just see more than a Rancor, right? It's kind of referred to that Jabba has more um, domestic or wild creatures down there. So I kind of want to see more than a Rancor, and I kind of want to see if Boba does the same thing, or would that kind of contradict his respect statement, right? So we continue uh, with Boba and Fennec go into the Ithorian mayor of Mos Espa. We get another good scene where the clerk's like, Boba Fett, you don't have an appointment. Uh, the the assistant of the mayor tries to prevent Boba from going in, goes in anyways, and I guess I have to go back and I can't remember the exact terminology that the Ithorian mayor uses, but the Ithorian mayor, by the way, it's really off-putting to hear its dialect and then also hear like basic, which is the language of Star Wars. Like it, I understood it wanted to make the noise, but it was kind of distracting a little bit to me. It was like, oh, and I thought it was Din. I really thought that voice was Din. I guess it wasn't. It just sounded a lot like Din, just dubbed. Obviously, I think Din is 100% in the show. Well, I shouldn't say 100%. I'm pretty confident that he's in the show, especially with the cameo we got today, because that was a really obscure cameo that was rumored. It definitely was rumored. There were people talking about this cameo that we'll touch on in a second. Um, but yeah, it goes to the Ithorian mayor. The Ithorian mayor's like, I didn't hire him. You're the dining, right? Dining. I don't know. What what's the right word? Dynamo. I don't know, something like that. But basically, Boba's the leader of this territory, right? Of Mos Espa, and Boba, he the Night Wind is killed by the mayor. The mayor basically says that, oh, it's outside of hut space. Thank you for letting me know, and basically treats him like a bounty hunter, like he's doing the mayor's work. And he's like, I'm not a bounty hunter. He's like, I've heard otherwise. They have a whole interaction about how Boba used to work for Jabba and how things have changed now. Boba is the leader, and I love how these first two episodes have established, even in subtleties, um, that Boba is not respected as a ruler yet. So obviously, it seems like that rulers are very much figureheads, right? They just control things and they have strong, powerful, physically capable people working under them. Boba is a strong, physical, capable person trying to become a person that typically doesn't do much, just tells people what to do, and they have the presence to do it, the huts. So it's very much apparent that the show is setting up the fact that to be a criminal lord, to be a mobster, basically in the Star Wars universe, kind of have to inherit it. It's kind of like being a king or a queen in the Elizabethan and all the English, all the French, kind of that vibe where you have to be royalty, basically, and that the royalty for mobsters would be huts. Obviously, this Ithorian was born into it. You can't essentially build your way up into it. That's not how it works, right? You're born with it. Boba's not born with that, okay? So he's got to earn this respect, right? And I love, what they do. So he tells Boba to go to Madame Garza. Madame Garza's like, oh, the twins, and Boba has a line where he talks about how the Hutts have business to deal with on Hutta, right? Because I believe after Jabba's or before Jabba's death, or it'd be before Jabba's death, Vader in the comics slaughters the Hutt Council. It's in disarray, like after Jabba's death. There's Jabba was basically the powerful Hutt as it was, but once when the whole council died, and then Jabba, it was in disarray, and it seems like his cousins, um, the twins, the sister and the brother, have now inherited that. They're kind of the new Hut leaders. And it's kind of weird to me that we didn't think of Huts this whole time, right? The whole dialogue basically has been Kira, the Pikes, and I think it's because of the fact that we assume that since Jabba was dead, there wasn't really any other Huts that could take the place, especially after knowing that Vader slaughtered the Hut Council. But it makes sense. It's been like almost a decade, Star Wars time wise, that it happened, right? It's been 5+ years or so. So it makes sense that some Hutts have came into power, especially Jabba's cousins, and they claim Mos Espa as their own since it was their cousins. It was Jabba's. Boba's like, nah, I don't care what your written seizure says. I don't care what it says. Um, this is my land. And we have a whole great interaction where they basically insult him. They say, "You're a bounty hunter. We don't care about you. You're a peasant." And I love how the band stopped. By the way, Max Rebo again. Shout out him. They have the band play. Like they have a lot of things going on. Um, and the band stops playing. The band suddenly stops playing. And we see the Huts being taken in on their litter. And we see everybody in Mos Espa stop what they're doing. They're kind of like idolized. They're kind of more feared, I guess you would say. Even though the Hutts aren't physically fearful, like Boba is, when you see a man in Mandalorian armor, you're kind of fearful. Even if you didn't know it was Mandalorian armor or what Mandalorians were, you'd be kind of fearful of somebody who looked like Boba. They stop everything when the Hutts are around, but with Boba, they never stop. They just look at him like, "What's up with him?" Oh, they might know he's the new mobster of Mos Espa, but they do nothing. They don't honor him. He has to almost earn their respect, right? He wants to rule with respect, but at the same time, Boba is not respected. So it's going to be kind of hard for Boba to rule with respect when he's not respected. Um, which is really fast. And then we get Black Chrysanthemum. So Black Chrysanthemum, I haven't read comics, so I don't quote me on any of this. I believe he is in some comics with Boba Fett, if I'm not mistaken. I was looking on Wikipedia. I know not the most reliable thing, but whatever. He was hired by Vader at some point to hunt down an assassin for the Emperor or something like that. Dr. Aphra Comics hunted down Ben Kenobi at one point. Um, okay, Alex, I got you, man. I got you, fam. That's all right. But yeah, anyways, yeah, I really enjoyed that first part of the episode, even though it's like 13 minutes. I kind of want a little bit more of the present day of Boba. But I haven't minded it because we and Alex and I will talk about it in a second when he gets on. But I've really enjoyed the Tuscan Raider side of things, and I want to address this before I go any further. Is that I've seen some complaints online about it that they don't like it, and that's personally fine, right? That's personally okay. I can understand the frustration with the flashbacks. Um, but I think metaphorically, they've done a really good job of setting up where he's gonna go, what's happened, and I think it's going to play a bigger picture in the story, right? We still haven't seen Sophia Thatcher's character or Jordan Fisher, I believe, is the other actor. I think they're both Tuscans. I think in the next episode, and Alex, I want to ask Alex about it when I give my theory here, but it's not going to end in this swan song, I don't think. Because why does Boba leave, right? Why does Boba feel this desire to leave, especially if Boba now has been fully accepted in the tribe, right? He's doing the dance with them. Um, yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that, Alex. Um, and so, why does he leave? Why does he leave after? Why does he not stay? I think something bad happens. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm gonna talk to Alex about that. But Yeah, I understand people's complaints with it, but I think it's pretty special that John and Dave and Robert Rodriguez too, and I can't remember the gentleman's name who directed this episode, but uh, yeah, that they have been able to create a story essentially with Tuscan Raiders, characters that forever, um, we're just seen as antagonistic. We're just seen as marauders. Steph Green directed this episode. Fantastic job by him. Also written by John Favreau. Um, and it's really fascinating to me to see that we've added so much lore to these characters in the past 2 years, right? Mando season one, you see, did communicate with them, and that's just the first sign. I didn't think anything of it when I first saw the Gunslinger. Mando season 2, episode 1, we learned that they can work together with people. We've always viewed the Tuscans as murderers, as savages that would just kill people, right? They kill Shmi, and they almost kill Luke. Obi-Wan fights him away in A New Hope. He scares him with the crate dragon noise. Um, so that's always been really interesting to me. Like the Tuscans, I have always personally just viewed them as these bad, or not bad people necessarily, but people who you can't trust. We'll say that you can't trust. They've always been not bad people, but they've always been on the darker side. They're not people we essentially grown up with and love and adore. Now they are. Now you root for the Tuscan Raiders. I find that so unique. That I've become so entrenched with these characters who have been in Star Wars since the beginning. But now, 50 years after, or not 50, 40 years after, almost 50, 45 years after they were introduced in A New Hope, um, they become uh, so dimensional. I mean, they're not one-dimensional characters anymore. They've become so much more, and I feel like this is going to end in pain. I feel like that's how it has to end because I don't see a reason for Boba to leave at this point. Um, but yeah, anyways, I kind of now want to segue into those flashbacks. So I will say when Boba gets into the Bacta tank, I I always get I audibly said, "Oh, let's go." Um, Alex is in.
Is this where the city needs saved?
How's it going,
Is the
buddy?
city need saved?
Yeah, no.
Oh no, I can't hear you. Oh gosh. Hold
Why
on.
can't you hear
Hold on.
me?
I forgot to plug my mic in. Hold on, I'll be back.
Oh my God, Jesus. I'll move about for a second. But yeah, we'll ask Alex. You're
What?
in?
I can hear.
Awesome.
Sorry, internet went out. Sorry.
That's tough. How's it going, my man?
Well, apart from that, fine. Fine.
How was going back? Right, we went back this week.
Yeah.
How's COVID at your place? Not bad, or
No, not bad at all. We're fine. We're
good,
fine. Just like my
good,
city. My city's fine. I keep it safe.
good. Alex, I've talked a little bit about the episode, but give your overall general thoughts and talk about up to the part where Boba enters the Bacta tank, and then we'll talk about the Tuscan Raider stuff. Talk about your general thoughts and the present day Mando stuff, the Mandoverse stuff we saw in this episode. What you think of that?
Ooh, I thought it was all good. I love this episode. In terms of Mandoverse episodes, it's one of my top 10. It's really good. I would say the first episode was probably in the bottom parts of it. It wasn't that interesting to me, but I really like this episode. I love the length of it. I think all episodes should be this long. Just really liked it. I liked all the Tuscan stuff. I liked all the modern day stuff. I like how the Huts have been brought into this. I like how the Pikes were brought into this. So huge things, and also that Wookiee, huge comic book reference.
Black
So
Chrysanthemum.
yeah. So yeah.
Which, by the way, like a light bulb went off in my head. I think that Boba's going to hire Bosk to help out with the team, and I think that's the conflict we see there. I think that's going to be really cool and interesting to see.
Yep. Because we see like a lot of Trandoshans in
We
this
do.
episode. Like a
We do.
weird amount.
Yeah. But the Huts, Alex, was such a weird play to me, but it feels like the most obvious thing they could have done. But it's something we never talked about, or like a lot of people. Like
Well,
we
here's the reason why I never speculated the Huts. And spoiler for the Darth Vader comics, Vader killed almost every single member of the Hutt Council. So I didn't think that they would bring the Huts in because I thought they were all dead. So I didn't find the need to speculate for the Huts. But man, I feel stupid now. Like,
yeah, I totally agree. Like I'm oh, this was the most obvious thing they could have done, and I didn't even think of it,
no.
which is kind of genius on their part. Which is another thing I want to ask. So, do you think they're the main enemies of this show? These two Huts.
Yeah, probably for if this is like a multi-season show, then yeah. Just for this
For
first
this
season,
season alone.
but for like the whole show, probably not. I don't know, man. It's there's a lot to think about in terms of like who the main villain is gonna be. I like the mayor being set up as the villain, but then they were kind of just like, yeah, the mayor's not the villain, by the way. So
Well, which is like interesting to me because he's like, the dude says the mayor hired me, and then the mayor knows what a night wind is, and then the
mhm.
mayor's like, yeah, no, I didn't hire him, but like, how do you know who
How do
he
we know
is and
them?
stuff?
Yeah, how do we know the mayor's not lying?
I think he is. I think he did hire him.
I do too.
But
I
then
do
again,
too.
so it's really so. I was touching on this earlier, Alex. This show so far of present day Mandoverse footage only has like 25 minutes of footage,
Yeah.
and it's just basically been Boba learning how to be a mob. Like it's not even an episode worth of stuff yet. Um, so I kind of want to ask you now: is we got the Black Chrysanthemum thing? So next episode, I presume there's still the footage from like the Gathering, right? We
Hmm.
got the speeder bike chase. I think next episode. Well, I shouldn't say that because I think next episode hopefully will be more narratively heavy. Obviously, these first two episodes have been more of character studies of who Boba Fett is. Obviously, in this episode, we got an acid trip
Sure.
at the end of it, which was
I,
well done.
I think I swallowed it.
Yeah, which was really well done, I thought.
Yeah,
But yeah, so we've kind of touched on the Mandoverse stuff. So, what'd you think of the Tuscan stuff? Just overall, general thoughts.
really good. I think what
Yeah,
a lot of people are missing with
great. Like
these.
this is I don't mean to cut you off, but this when I think about it, it's some of the best storytelling in Star Wars. Like it felt like Star Wars. Like I don't I'm gonna say this outright. Out of I know it's technically 2022, but if the last year of stuff included Marvel, it's the best thing I've seen from a Disney Plus show since the Mando season finale. Even
Hmm.
of Loki, as much as I love Loki,
I
nothing beat that.
I
Nothing beat
disagree.
that.
I disagree. I think Cap's speech in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Wanda creating the hex, and all that stuff was like really impactful. Felt like really hardcore Marvel. The heroism, the grief. I think it all felt really well. I would say this is definitely a top three. Like all of these flashbacks, like these flashbacks this week were really good. I'd say
I honestly I don't mean to cut you, but I think this show is already on par or better than the best Disney Plus Marvel show of the year, Loki. Like just the way it started. I
I think
just
I think also when people talk about the flashbacks, they always get this negative reputation.
right.
But I think the thing is, and I said it in chat, these flashbacks are just like Arrow's flashbacks,
Hmm.
where we get to see Oliver go back and we get to see him do stuff in the past that impacts what he's doing in the present. And I think we're getting that to a whole T. We're going to see why Boba wants to rule with respect and not fear. And I think, like, if you're getting mad that we're not seeing Boba support slavery or prejudice, well, first of all, that's a weird part on you.
Right.
And second of all, it's just like we have to remember that like 5 years can really change someone. Again, I know I just talked about Arrow and he had 5 years where he was gone, but still, 5 years can really change perspective of someone. And I think that the flashbacks are a really healthy flesh out of all of it. Like the flashbacks to not only the Tuscan Raiders, but to Camino, all of that, Geonosis. Like I think it all serves narrative purpose and not just flashbacks for the sake of flashbacks.
Right. So, I mean, everyone had the question, what was he doing for 5 years? This is answering that question you had. If you had that question, you shouldn't be really complaining. I could acknowledge like some people just don't like it. They just don't like the flashbacks. It's not hidden for them, and that's okay. That's fine. I get it. I expected a little different, but I've been loving it. And I said it. I mentioned it earlier. The Tuscan Raiders are one of the first Star Wars characters, right? They're introduced in 1977. I bet you as a kid, we've always viewed them as the bad guys, or at least
Mm-hmm.
nuisances to our heroes.
Yeah.
What John and Dave and Robert Rodriguez now have done with those characters in 2 years, through 2 television shows and 3 seasons, is like they've become very likable characters, and
Yeah.
characters I want to like. I could have a whole show about Tuscan Raiders. If I'm being honest with you, I could have a whole show about them.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that I like about these Disney Plus shows is that their purpose is to flesh out things that need fleshing out. Like for instance, Kenobi's almost certainly going to be possibly showing us more of this. I think to a lesser extent, just because of where it leads to, where we see them in A New Hope. But I think like things like Andor, they're gonna flesh out characters like Cassian. Like didn't get all the fleshing out he deserved in Rogue One.
On
Uh,
Mothma, yeah,
yeah,
etc. Yeah.
all these characters, and I think that this show is gonna be the thing for the Tuscans. I think like we get to see them accept Boba Fett. Um, Again, just like you were saying before I joined, I am interested to see why he never came back to them, why he seems to have like abandoned that way of life. So I don't know.
I think it goes one of two ways. One, they get ticked off with him, or he gets ticked off with them. But I really don't see Boba starting a conflict with them. I kind of have a hard time seeing that. Um,
Yeah, I think something that like I could maybe see is that like I don't
oh,
even maybe what go ahead you say it.
I think a crate dragon may be killing them, or something like that, just damaging their entire village. And then, like, because we also have to explain, how does he know Cobb Vanth has his armor, right?
Mm,
How does he know that Cobb Vanth is the one wearing his armor? So that also kind of lends into the idea that maybe it just doesn't end in, well, maybe it does. Maybe he was dressed as a Tuscan during the events of Mando season two's premiere, which I speculated on. I thought that was what they were gonna go with.
mm,
And I definitely think they're doing something like, you don't focus on like those Tuscans a lot, like the three ones, the chief, the warrior, and the child. They're all gonna play, I think, some role later in the season,
yeah,
um, which is really cool. And it's like I've kind of been waiting for that moment that they unmask. Like I've been really like it's always been a thing. What do they look like under there? What do they look like? Like the Jawas, what do they look like? Um, but I really think that I think it's gonna end in tragedy. That's what I think happens. I
I
think it's
think
gonna.
I think Boba's gonna kill them.
I don't see that because I think that would be kind of that would be like the opposite of what Boba's trying to do now.
But still, I think in the past he's gonna kill them in the flashbacks, and then it'll lead into him in season 2 of The Mandalorian. Or
But why would he
honestly,
feel a need to kill him?
something happens. They're gonna try to stop him from getting his armor back or anything. The other thing we have to remember, Drew, is this series has to answer why did he want to take the throne of Jabba?
Right.
So I think that I think that he's gonna potentially pitch the idea of it, and they're gonna deny it, and they're gonna say, well, then if you're gonna do that, we want our stuff back, because that's not what we do. And he's gonna kill them. What if he has to?
Okay.
What if he kills that poor kid?
Oh no. I don't see that. I think that would be too I just think that'd be too off-putting for where the character is now. It could happen. I think the more likely thing is that something happens, like a tragedy or something like that, and then at some point, Boba is just so distraught, and he doesn't want to kind of deal with it anymore, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go do this," but they support him. Like, I don't know, something along those lines. We know we get flashbacks all the way up into the point that he gets Slave One back because we've seen it. Um, which, by the way, I want to ask, interest in a New Hope reference, huh? Tosche Station and Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker's love interest there, first love interest.
Mm-hmm.
Interest in tie-in.
Yeah.
What'd you think of it?
I think it's a thing. A lot of this episode has kind of been like, if you don't know, then like whatever. They're just like two humans that are being like bitched around by these Niktos.
I didn't even
And
know.
then,
I didn't even know. I was like,
and then
that's what they said.
when I saw the Wookiee, when I saw them, I was like, oh my gosh, that's Cammy and the one guy from the deleted scene from A New Hope.
Yep.
And then when I saw the Wookiee, I don't remember how to say his name, but I was just like, oh my gosh, he's from the comics. Like
It looks
even
badass.
exactly, like even more relevance of the comics more than ever now.
And it's a perfect cameo too, because it's like, if you know, you know. If you don't know, you just know the dude looks like a badass, and he was hired by Huts. And then with the Tosche Station one, it's like, it's if you know, you know. But if you don't know, hey, it works. It works narratively. It works fine. Which, by the way, what a fantastically shot fight. I saw some people complaining about the fight in episode 1, how it felt kind of stagnant, where it was just, it was punch and then block. It wasn't like smooth movements, people were saying. I absolutely loved the fight in Tosche Station. Just to see, like, every time Tamora Morrison fights someone, I just love looking at his face because I laugh. It's just so scary. Yeah.
His eyes get so big when he fights. I love it.
I do too. It's so scary. Um, like he beats the hell out of people with a crappy gaffy stick. Um, and I now I think that he's got a little romance thing with that lady Tuscan that he fights with. Definitely got a
Yeah,
thing.
because the thing is, like in Legends at least, the Tuscans were just humans.
Yeah.
And I think that's the route they're probably going to take, is that they're just humans.
You know what I want to see now, really? And they mentioned it. They're like, ever since the oceans dried up, we've kind of been living
Yeah.
away from civilizations. I want to see Tatooine as a water planet. Like, how far back does that go?
I mean, what we know about Tatooine is that Tatooine once was a luscious forest planet. And then something happened where it dried up all the grass and water and it became a
Right.
desert planet.
I want to see that.
Well, probably the two suns didn't help that case, but
Right.
here we are. Because, like, if you notice in A New Hope, a lot of the planets look very, like, desolate. Like,
Yeah.
in the beginning. Like, they look very barren. Compared to something like Alderaan that looked like Earth. And Endor looked like, luscious redwood forest. So,
Right. Yeah. And Hoth was just freezing
snow.
cold. Was it Siberia that they filmed? Where was it they filmed? Oh, somewhere in Europe.
Yeah.
Finland? Norway? Something like that.
Norway. I think it was in Norway.
Was Norway that they filmed, and it was just freezing snow, mountains.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that'd be interesting. See Tatooine as a water, like, luscious sea world. That'd be really cool. But yeah, like I have the theory that the Tuscans are all just humans that are recruited. Some of them are ancestral, but most of them are just humans. That some were recruited. Like, and by the way, I have to say, I kind of like Boba's look in the robes better than the armor, if I'm going to be honest with you.
No, I disagree because I like the repaint that they did for the show.
No, it does look good, though. It does
Like,
look good.
because
The one scar, The one
Yes,
scar, that's
they repainted it for the Mandalorian season 2, and then they repainted it again for the Book of Boba Fett, and it looks so clean. I love it so much. I
but
have I have a sorry, I have a like list of helmets that I need to get through. I have an Iron Man on the works. That Boba Fett helmet has just jumped up because I really need that helmet.
it looks so good. It looks so good. Like his armor in Mando 2 looks like too clean. You know what I'm saying? Like too clean.
It does. It looks brand new. Like you would think it in like retrospect, oh, we want to see clean armor like Din Djarin's, but like no, I want to see because when I think of Boba Fett's, I think of like scratched up, the dent, all that. Which, by the way, there's huge speculation that Boba Fett's armor is not Beskar. Like all of it isn't, because there's no way that helmet would have gotten that ding in it if it was Beskar.
So it's what would it be? Durasteel or whatever the hell they call it?
Durasteel is the second most popular use because you have to think if you have Mandalorian armor, it's not always Beskar. Beskar is super super rare,
Right.
um, and most people just use Durasteel, which seems funny because it's just like oh, it's just Durasteel, it's just Darth Vader's armor, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. My thing is too is like so Jango's helmet gets blown up in the Clone Wars, but
Hmm.
Boba says this was my father's armor before the old armor. So is the new is
Maybe he's just talking about the armor specifically, not the helmet.
like yeah, but like is this armor that he has now that he wears? Is it the same one from Return of the Jedi that he just painted? Is that what we're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, that's it.
Really?
It's called the repainted armor.
Huh. Which, by the way, I kind of like the new look. I kind of like the darker green.
I do too. I think it suits him better than the
The
like.
light green is iconic. It's iconic.
Yeah.
That's how I'll always remember. But the dark green, it differentiates the times. But yeah, I thought the whole scene with them learning how to ride the speeder bikes is like forward, backward,
like
and
a
then the guy,
like a bantha.
yeah, like Samantha, and they're like,
Like oh.
and then the dude gets on and then flies backwards.
Mm.
And then it was like really, I'm watching Tuscan Raiders learn how to use technology, and I'm
I
loving it
know.
right now. And then they go in as slow as possible, and one dude's like flicking switches and stuff, and he's like,
You know what I just thought about?
"Why?"
You remember how the Tuscans were like when Boba was like, this is your land, like 'cause they were talking about how like, oh, we were the true ancestors of the Dune Sea for generations.
Right.
What if the Tuscans try to take over all of Tatooine and Boba stops them? And that's why he never comes back to them.
Oh, because they get too power
They,
hungry. That would be
because they got
interesting.
because they got all of the pike technology.
Right. That'd be really interesting. And I really like the explanation about how there are like different Tuscan tribes. Like even
Yeah.
with we got the more
The
like
tribes of
obviously
Tatooine.
Anakin's like no offense, Anakin's Tuscans deserved it, man.
Oh yeah, they
Um
killed his mom. And they
they
were
were awful.
hired to do it too.
Yeah, they tortured they were hired. Dooku hired them, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dooku hired them. Well,
Yeah.
Dooku Sidious hired Dooku to hire the Tuscans.
Tuscans. Yeah.
Palpatine's plan, man. He always needs someone to do something for someone to do something else.
Right, right. Just can never do it on his own, right? Just too
No.
lazy to do it.
Like if you think about it, that Padme plan literally would have all been solved if Palpatine just like while she was asleep one night, just like we know the Force can work through distance. Like Vader choked an officer
The
who
dude
wasn't even
like
near him.
tried to assassinate that girl like over a 3 year period like 15 times and just nobody caught on like 15 times in a 3 year period and just nothing.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Yeah, but I also so we get the whole train heist in the Pikes. That was really cool. It's like and again, it didn't feel forced in, didn't feel shoehorned in. And I love how the Pikes like, what's spice? It's just like that
That
stuff. That stuff.
ooh.
and they
Yeah.
looked really weird to me because like we've never seen them in canon without their mask,
Oh
right?
yeah, Clone Wars, but they redesigned them for live action.
Right.
So
Well, I
now
was
it's like,
saying live action. Well, I should have said live action.
yeah,
Clone Wars, yeah.
it's
Uh,
weird because they did redesign them for live action. They're not the same as they are in Clone Wars.
no,
So
they're totally different. Like the
so
Clone Wars, they're more like stylish. There's more style to them. These are just
yeah,
simple like faceplates that they wear.
yeah. So now it's basically a thing of artist interpretation. Which interpretation of the Pikes do you like the most? They're both
Well,
right.
yeah, you could also just like make the justification. One takes place in the canon 20 years later. Like, just
Yeah,
they've
true.
probably changed their way.
Evolution.
Right. What you think of the train heist?
It's a train heist. They're always good.
They're
You
always good.
you always have to think like the solo train heist was good. I can't remember another. Oh, the Boba Fett train heist in Clone Wars was good. Oh, I mean, he wasn't heisting; he was defending, but still,
Right.
every train sequence in Star Wars is good, except the one in the Force Unleashed 2 where you have to defend that thing from being attacked. That was not
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So
It was great.
yeah. Other than that, I mean, really enjoyed it. I like the little thing where the Tuscan pops. I think it's the female one where she like pops her head up and puts it back down.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was good.
really good.
That was good.
The humor
Uh,
of the show is really good, by the way. Really,
yeah, and
really
it's
good.
it's not like over the top too. It's just like stupid, like dumb humor. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, go in the Rancor pit, and then like,
Yeah. Again, I still will never get over the first joke in the first episode. I'm the crime lord.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like what's happening right now. Um,
We really need a protocol droid.
like his first three lines in the show are all like supposed or like funny. Like,
Yeah, Boba Fett is always funny. Okay.
yeah, hilarious. Yeah, I really enjoyed the train heist. I we got to talk about the acid trip. Disturbing to see a lizard go up a man's nose. That was weird.
Hmm.
But it was really well done. I loved how they like as he's walking through on this little trip. Which, by the way, how did the lizard go in his brain? I don't know. I don't want to think about that. That
I
was
know it freaks me out.
finds a tree. And the trees like suffocated him like the Sarlacc. And I love the Camino shot, right? Because what I really enjoy about the Tuscans is the fact that Boba, and I think this will be
Hey,
it.
sir, tell me what this is. Do you know what this is?
What is that?
It's a Mobius strip. But maybe I should do a Mobius strip inverted, and all of a sudden, bam! I've discovered time travel, bitches.
What I really love about the Tuscans is in their relationship with Boba, and then the flashback here we get with Boba seeing Jango fly away in the Slave One while Boba's on Camino is the Tuscans are family. Boba never
Yeah.
has family.
Yeah.
He loves his dad, but him and his dad have a weird relationship, right?
Well, because if you think about it, Boba isn't a son to Jango like most sons are to mothers and fathers. His whole purpose was to continue the Fett legacy. There was no other reason. Like Jango didn't want the son because, oh, I really, really want a son, because I want to grow old and love him to death, and then see his grandbabies grow up. No, it was literally so when he died, he could take over.
Right. Uh, Boba loved his dad, but his dad, I wouldn't say it's like necessarily a toxic, because Jango did love Boba,
Oh yeah.
but Boba was Jango's plan for him was just to, like you were saying, continue his legacy, and Boba's never had the family, like he's never had anything in his life. He's just been a loner, who's done his thing as a bounty hunter, and the Tuscans are his first like family, like first people that he cares. Like you could tell he genuinely cares about them because when he talks to the Pikes as they surrender, he says our. He uses the word our, we. He's included himself with them. He's longed for that care, and he's at a stage in his life now. And I really love how these like you were saying, these flashbacks kind of tie into the story and the narrative going on. So the first episode He's out of the Sarlacc. He's captured by these Tuscans. He's basically treated like a kid, like a prisoner. And then these first two episodes, we kind of see him as the mobster being treated as like, you're just a bounty hunter still. Like, I've loved that narrative that they've been going with, right? He doesn't go around on his litter. Every time he walks the streets of Mos Espa, nobody bows to him. When they saw huts, they bowed to him, right? The Ithorians like, here, I'm gonna pay you like a bounty hunter. You're mine. I tell you what to do,
Oh
right?
my gosh! By the way, when the mayor's person gave Fennec the bag, I thought, oh my gosh, there's going to be like a thermal detonator in it, and it's going to blow up. Also, I
Which,
like, by
by
the
the way,
way, I'm sorry, Bobo, when
okay,
he
go ahead.
goes back there and he's the guy for the mayor's like, oh, the mayor is busy and he's not here. And Bobo just walks back there and he's just like, okay.
Okay. Sorry. And then just, I also love the clerk in that scene. He's like,
Mm-hmm. You have an
Boba Fett.
appointment.
And we also saw Max Rebo again. Shout out him.
Yep.
He gets
Max
bigger
Rebo
every time.
never dies. He never dies, Drew. Come on now.
He never dies, bro. He's always got to get to that gig. I watched that Robot Chicken thing of him the other day. After I don't know if you ever seen it, but it's like, he survives the sail barge, and all he's saying is like, "Man, I got to get to that fucking gig, man!" Like after the
Mm-hmm.
sail barge, and he walks all the way to like Mos Eisley, and then, what are they called? The
Mm-hmm.
Cantina band takes his gig. This man, oh
Mm-hmm.
fuck, I walked 30 minutes in that damn sand. It's
Yeah.
just so funny to see. Um, yeah, it's really good. Uh, but does my dude just keep playing? I feel like it's kind of torture. My man
My
just.
whole thing is, do you think he plays the same song over and over and over and
I
over
think he does,
again?
man. I think he does.
Because like that'd be awful.
Does he
I
ever
would.
sleep?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like he doesn't.
I feel like he just continue. I feel like he can't. I feel like he just has to be on that
Right.
piano.
Exactly. He doesn't sleep.
No,
Confirmed.
doesn't
Here.
sleep. Um, I really love the end of this episode. And I was talking about the flashback. Yeah, so essentially his flashbacks. In the second episode, Boba's learning to become the warrior again, right? Boba's learning how to be respected, and that was something I mentioned earlier. Is like Boba, in order for him to be a successful mobster, he's got to be respected. To achieve this whole respect thing, I think he's going to run into some problems trying to be respectful in this business. Um, so I really love how the flashbacks, like you said, Arrow, how they kind of tie into the ongoing plot. Alex, what did you think of the end of the episode after the train heist, with the making of the gaffy stick and the getting his assortment that we see in Mando season 2?
Well, let's just say, as soon as that gaffy stick went on screen, the first thing that I immediately went to was almost every single 3D print files online to see if they have the gaffy stick files, because I want it.
It looks so good.
It does. It has no reason to look as good as it does.
As a wooden stick, just great craftsmanship. Just fantastic. And then we get I tell you, man, I kind of like his get up more. I also like his white underneath suit, man. I kind of just I like it better than the black underneath, if I'm gonna be honest. The black just is
I
like,
like the black more. I like the black more.
I
I
do
think it
like the
looks better.
black. And I guess it's like symbolic of how he's changed and, well, toys also. But
Yeah. I also just like um I like how Fennec and all them, like, I like how Fennec doesn't carry around her helmet anymore. I wish she would have. I love Fennec's helmet so much. I'm sorry, I can
I
see it
do.
right now. I
I
also
do.
just like, I don't understand the practicality though of of Fennec's helmet, because like my whole thing is
To be fair, I don't understand the practicality of a lot of these helmets. Like, we've literally seen what Din and Boba see, and I'm like, how is this helpful?
well, you have to think also, like, they can see like a lot, like through Din's helmet he basically has infrared mode, so he can like,
Right.
and you have to think also they can see all around them like we do. It just looks like they can't.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I mean, Boba's helmet, man, is amazing, but Fennec's is also amazing and is on another level of amazing.
Yeah, but practically, like, what is
Like,
its
yeah,
purpose?
because like there's not even like a visor. It's like just a little slit.
Like, just like
It's literally
it's
like
kind
if
of
you
like the
went,
mask that Lando wears in Return of the Jedi. Like,
yeah, like it hangs over so far. You know what it would be like is if I wore the hood and I wore it like this. Like I
yeah,
can't see. Like I can breathe. I can kind of see through it. Like the mesh is kind of see through. But if I have it down like this, well, I can't see very well. That's what her helmet reminds me
you're
of.
Matt
Like
Murdock. You're
I
you're
know
Matt Murdock at that point.
exactly. Like how can you see?
Right.
So it makes
Um.
no sense. Bad design. No, I'm joking. I love the design of her helmet though. If it had a
No, I do.
visor, then like sure, but it doesn't.
And then we end with the great dance. By the way, that's how you do, like, I shit on Hawkeye's post credit scene because why?
Exactly.
Um,
Don't shit on it. You can
that's
see.
how you do. That's how you do an ending musical right there. The
No,
Tuscans interpretive. The
Rogers
Tuscan.
musical is amazing. Don't
No,
even.
I mean it's cool, but not as an end credit scene. But this is an ending of episode 2 with the Tuscans doing their dance, and Boba being accepted in the tribe. I thought was really cool. I was getting down with it, man. I every time I hear that Boba theme, oh, I'm not in my
Such a
head,
good theme.
not in my head. Um, I wonder what it's like as John Favreau and Dave Filoni every time Ludwig comes in, and you just hear bops after
I
bops. Like,
know. You're just like, okay, Ludwig, all we need is like a basic theme. Like you don't need to go that hard. Dun 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 dun
dun,
dun dun
dun, dun, dun.
dun. Oh my god. Literally though, they have
Dun, dun,
so many
dun.
theme songs that literally the Razor Crest Flying has a theme song.
And it's good.
It is.
At the end,
It's better than almost it's better than so many of the Star Wars, like average Star Wars themes.
right? I love how the show feels like Disney plus Star Wars, but at the same time, it feels different than The Mandalorian, which I really love.
It's so weird. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I have to admit it, man. I like so far out of the first 2 episodes, I like this stuff more. And maybe it's just because Star Wars resonates with me more. I've liked this stuff more than the Marvel stuff. I don't know so far. I just maybe I've become so used to John and Dave's storytelling after 3 seasons of 2 different shows that I just come more accustomed to it.
I want the Mandalorian season 3 right now. Like
Oh
if
man.
it's anything like this, then I want it right now.
And listen, we haven't even gotten to the crazy stuff yet. I mean, it's been rumblings, Alex, about a certain Han Solo,
I know. It's
which I wouldn't even like at this point. I don't even want. Like, I love. Somebody said it today, and I thought it early this morning. These first couple of episodes of Boba Fett take me back to Mando season 1, and when I fell in love with Star Wars again. It's something about their storytelling, the storytelling here, that just is why I love Star Wars. It's just it's great. I don't know if you like this feels a lot like Mando season 1 to me, especially the early parts. What do you think? Does this make you feel any sort of way?
no. It makes me feel like I want Mando season 3 though. Um I'm sorry if that's a little like, oh, okay. But no,
No, it's all right.
it's seriously, it's just like
And Ahsoka,
um
man, I'm excited to see Ahsoka even more now. Like, what's
eh, I don't know. I think this is, however, how the Mandoverse should be going forward. I'm sorry, because I was thinking of an Arrowverse connection. How we should start seeing flashbacks and how it's affecting them in the modern day. I know people are gonna make the comparisons to Arrow and whatnot, but like honestly, at that point, who cares? This stuff is way better than the Arrowverse.
oh
Sorry,
yeah.
I love the Arrowverse, but this stuff is just too good to not want to watch it all the time. Um,
Did you wake up early to watch it?
no,
I woke
no,
up at 3.
I watched it 4 hours ago for the first time.
Oh
So
really? Did you get anything spoiled for you?
no,
Nice.
I forgot it. I forgot we had a Disney Plus show coming out. Surprisingly,
Oh my god.
I
Fake fan,
know,
guys. Fake
I
fan.
know, I know. Call me a fake fan, but like, I'm just like, I don't know. I was thinking that like, I guess for some reason we had a longer break without Disney Plus,
Oh yeah.
but guess not.
So what do you give this? What rating do you give this
9 out
episode?
of
And
10.
okay, I give it a low 9. Yeah, a low 9 out of 10. Predictions for next week?
More with the Huts.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna start getting set up to why he leaves the Tuscans next week.
Yep.
That's really it.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think we see Din anytime soon.
Do you think he's in the show still?
Episode 7 or 6.
Yeah. I think that this episode or next episode will be it for the Tuscan stuff. I think be the it of for flashbacks.
No.
Do you
I
think
think
that would be a
I
show
think
spanning thing?
yeah. You got to think this is 5 years, so you're gonna have honestly no choice but to do it like that.
But my follow up then would be: do you think they decrease the time that we see flashbacks? Like the first two
Yeah.
episodes? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think they wrap it up, but I think again it's a flashback heavy thing. I think it's another longer episode.
We
And
need
then
it, dude. This long episode was good.
I like yeah, okay, so my thing is like I don't care about episode lengths. I don't.
I do.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think it alters or changes the story, but this episode gets a 9 out of 10 for me. I think next week we wrap up the Tuscan stuff, I think. Or episode 4, like at about the halfway point, we'll wrap it up. I think we get that scene at the dinner table that we see in the trailers, and maybe some more hut stuff set up. But yeah, I'm really excited
I
next week.
think
And I love how it's small scale. I love how we haven't gone grandiose yet, just a large scale thing. It's small scale. It's still Tatooine, Mos Espa.
I still think that to this day and to this time, I think that we should not be done with Tuscan stuff yet, and I think we need 5 years of flashbacks.
Okay.
So
I'm not
I'm
saying
saying
that
5 seasons. 5 seasons feels good.
I'm not saying that
good
the
to me.
Tuscan stuff I'm saying that the Tuscan stuff in the past is over, but I think they'll be back.
No, I think
Because you think Boba kills them.
no. Not that. I think that like there's got to be more to them, and I think again, 5 years. Like, could you imagine like if we went for all of Star Wars without knowing the 19 years in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope?
That's fair.
You know how boring you would be? So boring.
That's fair. So Alex, you gave me a phone call Saturday.
About what?
And you called me about a certain franchise that we don't talk a lot about.
Now I remember.
And I kind of wanted to talk about it on stream.
Yes, because
This
I've
comes to
developed
us.
a lot of
This
thoughts.
this comes to us from My Time to Shine Hello, who got a lot of stuff right for No Way Home. They'll treat this as a rumor, of course. It doesn't usually talk about DC, but basically the Flash movie is a reset movie, and it's gonna erase Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and Justice League. And Affleck and Cavill are officially both gone. Alex, we talked about this. I'll let you take the floor first because you're a little more passionate than I was about it. But go ahead.
This is a top 10 worst decisions of cinema ever. Ever. I would understand this decision in 10 years. I'm sorry, I'm like slouching really bad. Gonna get back on. I think that this makes literally no sense. We have to understand that Flashpoint did not do this in the comics. It did not erase huge parts of the comics storylines. It had residual effect. It changed things. It didn't erase things. And I feel like if that is what's going to happen with going forward, they're just going to erase 3 movies, then I think that this is a stupid decision, like a stupid decision on Warner Bros. Behalf. And I've said it ever since this leak came out that if this is true, what's happening, I think by 2030, Disney's going to acquire DC Comics.
Which would be insane. That'd be crazy.
They would have the full Infinity Gauntlet of franchises.
Yeah,
Like
they'd
straight
literally
up.
own movies. Like they'd actually start to buy movie theaters. Like that's
Yeah.
how crazy it would be because they would own cinema. Because comic book and Star Wars is what's keeping these theaters alive basically when these movies come out because they're the big blockbusters now, specifically Marvel films. But anyways,
Could you imagine if like Marvel started like not making their own like movie streaming service, but like you had to buy the things?
yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Um,
What?
Here are my
That
thoughts.
is crazy.
You can't pick and choose. Okay, so apparently they want Cavill and Affleck are done, right? Affleck will be done in this movie. Presumably Michael Keaton is now the Batman of the DCEU.
But to me, here's my thing. I'm sorry to cut you off. It makes no sense why.
Like, Affleck doesn't want to do it.
I mean, I get Affleck, but Henry Cavill, he's Superman. I'm sorry. Yeah. He is.
Well, I think Affleck is also when I think of Batman, I think of Ben Affleck.
Exactly. And so it literally just to me, it doesn't make sense.
It's like if the event, if Marvel, after Age of Ultron's yeah, let's get rid of Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. and let's replace him with 2 other guys to be the leaders of the Avengers. That's exactly what you're doing. You're erasing your 2 money makers, essentially.
Literally, you know what that would be like? If when Wanda creates the Hex, she all of a sudden rewrites Infinity Stones. We get new Infinity Stones as a result. Or all of a sudden she changes who was blipped and who wasn't. That makes no sense. Why are we changing that stuff?
Right.
It's just it's annoying.
I don't mind if you want to go in a different direction, but don't change the past. You shouldn't be able to do that.
Exactly. Could you imagine also if, again, Marvel, just because people didn't like Thor: The Dark World, just completely got rid of it?
Erased it from continuity.
I get it if people don't like it. I don't like Thor: The Dark World, but that could be someone's favorite movie, and that's not right. Right. In my opinion. Now, granted, I would love to meet a person who says Thor: The Dark World is their favorite. But still, I mean, you have to think, the modern day DCEU, Bruce Wayne is Ben Affleck. And now you're going to remove him with Michael Keaton, which, hey, no disrespect to Michael Keaton, but, why are we bringing back old-timers and replacing the new guys?
And by the way, I really love Michael Keaton as Batman.
Really good Batman.
But you're essentially bringing him back for The Flash, and then he's going to be in the Batgirl movie where he's passing the torch to Batgirl. So that's a big thing because Batgirl's now going to be your Batman of the Justice League. Oh, by the way, that movie is on HBO Max. It's not even in a movie theater. I'm not even going to watch it because I have HBO Max. I'm not going to watch it. I don't care enough. Or I probably will watch it, but there's probably gonna be other projects out, and I'm not gonna watch even Peace. I'm not a huge DC fan. That's just my take. I watch the movies. That's it. That's about it.
I will watch the in-theater releases, and I will watch the Arrowverse, and that's it.
I'm just not that huge of a fan because you haven't set up your cinematic universe yet. You didn't have a plan. You're just oh, Marvel's doing a cinematic universe. We gotta match it. And you didn't have a plan. And it's very showing here. So my thing is Supergirl now in the Flash movie who's being introduced, which I'm really excited for, by the way. I like that. I'm glad that Supergirl and Batgirl are going to be a part of the new Justice League. Yeah. But also at the same time, you're getting rid of Superman and Batman. Why?
Again,
why? It just makes no sense, especially Cavill. Henry Cavill is it's one of the more perfect comic book castings. He got 1 solo film.
That's it. That's it. It makes no sense. It just, to me personally,
And Affleck
um,
got 0.
I think the moment that the DCEU went to shit was when they thought that the first movie introducing Batman should be in a team up movie. Like, could you imagine if the first time we saw Iron Man was the Avengers?
It would just feel so off-putting. Like, it felt so off-putting. I mean, it was a cool story. I mean, it was an alright story. The premise, Batman versus Superman,
If
and then them
maybe,
teaming
yeah,
up.
maybe if that happened like five
After they
years,
got, yeah, solo films at
yeah.
least.
Like like that's why when Disney found out that Warner Bros was doing a thing like that for the DCEU with Batman versus Superman, they were able to quickly concoct Captain America Civil War so fast because at that point in the story it made sense, especially coming off of a movie like Age of Ultron.
Right, and it was 8 years into a cinematic universe where we've established these characters. The DCEU at that point's only 3 to 4 years old, and that just had Man of Steel basically at that point. Um, but yeah, and it's really weird to me. So you're knocking a couple of them out of continuity, but then Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Flash are still a part of the team. Which, by the
Yeah.
way, the Flash didn't even have his own movie when he's
The
first
the
introduced in
Flash
the Justice League.
the Flash didn't even go by the Flash yet.
Right.
Like this movie has so much to do. Reset the DCEU, develop the Flash, give the Flash its storyline. It has to flesh out the Reverse Flash. It has to develop out so many characters, and
Supergirl. It has to talk about
Supergirl,
Keaton and Affleck.
and then it also has to make Barry Allen the Flash.
Yeah.
This movie has so much more to do than Avengers Endgame had to do, than Avengers Infinity War had to do. All of it. All of it.
Yeah, I was excited for this movie. I heard rumblings that the Snyderverse would essentially be erased. And here's my thing. Listen, I don't like Snyder fans. I don't love Snyder's films. I like his Justice League, especially because it's a huge upgrade over what Whedon did. I like Man of Steel. It's solid. Batman v Superman, not my cup of tea. All right. Snyder's fans are rabid. Yes, they're not good. And I don't think they should get their way. But Warner Bros., you should know that they're a rabid fan base, probably the most rabid on the internet besides Star Wars fans, and maybe
Ooh,
even more rabid, I would say.
more, worse.
So you just delete the shit. Like, yeah, it's not gonna cause any controversy, right? That's not gonna do anything.
No,
Like,
Drew, come
what are
on
you
now.
doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm worried. I'm not worried about the Batman film itself. I'm worried about what they do with the character afterwards. Keep them separated. Don't
Yes,
do any.
please do that.
Just keep Pattinson away with Reeves for a little bit,
Yeah,
and then if you want to eventually let him into the Justice League, go ahead.
because
Um,
again, I think also another thing is like when we look at Flashpoint, that whole story, the DC, like Warner Bros. Has recently, not in comics, but in the CW, did Flashpoint, and it never did changes like this. The only time that we have seen such huge change to the universe was Crisis on Infinite Earths, when it merged the multiverse to one planet. And that was it. And
that's
now,
that's when we get Ezra Miller's Flash, and
yeah,
yeah,
when Grant and Ezra Miller interact, that makes sense because that's a huge thing of the multiverse collapsing.
right.
But this, to do this for what? For what is the want to accomplish here? Because again, you had such amazing casting with Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. Like, it just makes no sense. I'm not gonna knock it until I see it, but on paper and in concept, it sounds pretty stupid.
Yeah, man. I agree with you, and it's kind of screams like, oh, we messed up. We didn't know what we were doing. And I'm
Yeah,
kind of still like, do you know what you're doing? Yeah, if you're successful, again, I want to preface this. before I go any further, this could be executed perfectly, and I love it.
Yeah.
It really could, but just as an idea, I don't like it. It usually doesn't work out, but we'll see. Hypothetically, let's make the hypothetical. If it works, if it's executed properly, do you have the plan afterwards? Do you have a plan to create out this
Yeah.
cinematic universe that you want to have that competes with Marvel? Do you have that? Okay.
It's
By the
just like
way, you're in,
it,
you're in a particular you're in a weird peculiar position. You don't have Moneymaker, Batman, and Superman as part of your Justice League going forward.
yeah. Um,
You do have a Batman, just not part of the Justice League yet.
yeah. It's not going to go over well with fans. I can already see it happening. Um, just yeah. I mean, it's the unfortunate thing with most superhero fans. A lot of them are really good, but then you're going to get the not so good ones who
Right.
are going to be very upset, Drew, very very upset that the three horsemen of the um, Justice League are all women. Like, I don't mind it. I don't mind Supergirl. I don't mind
Yep.
Batgirl. I don't mind Wonder Woman. But like, you got to know the controversy it's gonna take literally just because they're women. Um, so it's just
Which is
like
terrible.
I know, but it's just like, oh my gosh, like what are we going to do about that controversy? Because like my whole thing is like it feels very weird to put Supergirl already as one of the faces of the Justice League when we didn't even get Superman that well established.
Right. Supergirl's gonna be part of the Justice League. No movie.
Yeah, I mean,
Nothing. Just yeah, Supergirl, leader of the Justice League, which is cool, is awesome. But I kind of like before. Why do the Avengers work? They all have movies before. We already know who they are as characters, and then we see them interact. If I don't have movies for some of them, or some of them I do, some of them I don't, some of them aren't good. They've only had one. It's like It's weird. It's weird. I really wish that they did something where Superman had to go away or something like that, or Batman went away, and they just said, "Hey, they're away, they're done, they quit," or something like that. Not erase movies from continuity. Yes, sure, these movies will still exist. You'll still be able to watch them, but I kind of feel the same way that I do. And I know we have had this discussion, and I've had this discussion with fandom, with Star Wars fandom as it is. Just by having Palpatine's presence in the Rise of Skywalker, I just feel like it doesn't diminish, but it dampens Anakin slash Vader's killing of the Emperor. That's just my own personal perspective. Uh, just just having or knowing in concept that the Snyderverse really doesn't matter now is just like, why do I want to watch those movies now? They don't matter to the cinematic universe at large. And again, I don't love those films, but I feel bad for people who do. And there are probably really good rational people who love Snyder's films, and now they're kind of worthless.
yeah, it's it's just to me, it's still to this day, still kind of just feels like a weird thing to do already.
Yeah.
Again, I would understand it if this was in like a few years into the DCEU's existence, then like I would get it then, but it's not. We're still at the very beginning of the DCEU,
Right.
and it doesn't make sense.
We just had a Justice League movie. Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, I I just I don't know. It to me it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think that they should have almost certainly waited for this to happen.
Yeah.
And I also don't agree with just removing stuff like this.
Yeah. I agree.
It feels like Zack Snyder put so much effort into this stuff,
Yeah.
and then Warner Bros. Was just like, you're okay. We don't need it anymore.
Yeah, I agree, man. And this movie's also screwed because I can't remember if it's a week before or a week after Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which by the way, I don't even know if that movie's gonna come out in November. That movie is facing its own problems. It's gonna be a really interesting back-to-back weeks if those are the weeks that those movies come out because they both have interesting problems of their own. But if Black Panther and Flash come out in that same time frame, Black Panther's gonna dominate it at the box office
Yeah.
because of how successful the first one is and because the MCU matters.
Yeah.
People don't care about the DC universe. It hasn't been fleshed out. It's not. I don't. Just not fleshed out, and it's too bad because the Flash is a cool character and kind of underwhelming. But you got any other thoughts on this before we segue into? I know something you're gonna be thrilled to talk about.
Nope. No other thoughts. No thoughts because I don't know if I could literally process any more of these thoughts.
So next, and finally, I want to segue into Alex's favorite film of all time, Morbius.
Mm. Oh,
Uh,
delayed again.
has
Delayed
been delayed
again.
for a seventh time, now to April 1st of 2022. This movie was supposed to come out when I was 16 years old. I'm now 18. This movie had its first trailer while Spider-Man No Way Home was filming.
Yep.
Um, Alex, this movie's been delayed to April 1st, obviously because of Rona, and
I mean,
probably,
hey, I'll say
yeah.
this. Maybe a little. I might see it in April. If it was gonna come out January 28th, I definitely wasn't gonna see it.
So here's my thing. I get it, right? I was like, there's no marketing for this film. You have a film coming out in the month. Hello? Um, you have Morbius. Can you market that, please? Um,
You're
I
asking for
think,
too much.
yeah, right. I'm asking for a company to market their film. I know. Uh,
How dare you?
I was excited for this movie because every single trailer I thought has looked good. I really like Jared Leto, which, by the way, he's 50. I didn't know that. Um, he looks great as this character. I can't wait to see the multiversal aspect of this with Keaton's Vulture. How does this tie into the Spider Verse? Like, this
Yeah.
is huge. This is
Again,
massive.
we gotta remember Keaton's MCU, Oscorp from The Amazing Spider-Man,
Right,
Toby's suit on the wall from the PS4 logo, with the murderer identifying most likely with Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
right.
Where does it take place, Drew? Give your predictions.
Okay, I
Oh
think
wait,
that
wait, and Venom is referenced of the business in California.
I think this takes place in the Venom verse. Um,
No.
for no reason in particular, but just the fact that it's just simple for Sony to keep them both in the same universe. Um, but it also begs the question, um, why is Tobey Maguire's portrait on the wall? Um,
In the PS4 pose too.
right? Why is Oscorp uh in this?
Keaton.
I don't know,
Keaton.
but it's really weird. And why? So my thing with Keaton is that this is all taking place during the events of No Way Home, and I guess Keaton got sent away from the MCU instead of brought in. I don't know, something like that, something weird along those lines. But this movie being delayed again, not surprised. Omicron's been going crazy. The Omicron variant, obviously. Uh, I know at least in my area, it's gotten really bad. Um, but yeah, not surprised. I don't think we're going back to 2020 where everything was getting delayed constantly, right? I don't think we're gonna have a Black Widow and I don't think we're gonna have another delay. I think April 1st is gonna be it. Um, and my question to you is, Alex, what do you think? Do you think this is it for delays? And a follow up question: people think that Garfield is gonna be implemented in like a post credit scene. I've been
Don't
seeing.
don't put
Uh,
your expectations as high, people. We know what happens.
expect disappointment and you'll never be disappointed. Um,
Exactly. Wise
Alex,
words.
Alex, what do you think is the reason behind this delay? Do you think it will affect other comic book movies coming out in this time, like the Batman? And do you think Garfield's going to be in it? Excuse me, in the movie?
No, Andrew Garfield is not going to be in the movie. Stop getting your expectations so high just to get them disappointed. Good night.
Plus, why would you implement him as a post? Like you probably already have had your post credit scenes for a while. This is not because they're filming new stuff. Uh,
Mm.
this is because of a virus and presumably also that they want Spider-Man No Way Home because that's its last weeks to maximize its profits. They don't want it combating in the same movie theater. They want No Way Home to make as much money as possible because it is one of the most profitable films of all time and the
Yeah.
most profitable film for Sony in a pandemic. But do you think this delay is a cause for concern for the Batman that comes out in early March? Or is it late March or early March?
Comes out March 4th.
Yeah,
Dropping stuff. No, I don't think the Batman's gonna get delayed.
right.
I don't see why it would.
No. Do you think that this delay proves that the Sony thinks that Morbius is going to do well? That they feel so confident in delaying it?
No, no. I think
No.
they're worried it's gonna do bad, so
I
they're
think they
delaying
got
it.
it. I think they got a good movie, man. I really do. From everything I've seen so far, I think it looks a lot better than Venom. I mean, as much as I love Tom Hardy and Venom, those movies are goofy. This one feels a little bit darker, a little bit seedier, just dark, a darker comic book film. And I kind of like that idea a lot. I know Alex
No.
and me vehemently disagree about that, but yeah, again, I don't think it's a major red flag. I just wanted to talk about it. I think it's reasonable why this movie's being delayed. 100%. April 1st. It's in a. I think it's going up against Sonic the Hedgehog and other stuff like that in
Oh
the April
no,
time slot.
not Sonic.
I think it's gonna do well in the box office. Like it would do Venom 2 numbers, I think. I think that's a fair assignment. No?
Mhm. He's gonna do way worse than Venom.
Venom 2 made around globally 500 to 600 million.
I think it'll do half of that. Sorry,
When we get into our prediction video, we'll
you
discuss that.
you get into it.
Right? Yeah, I'll get it. Yeah, I'll get into it. Alex just has no excitement. I don't get it. I don't get why he's not excited for this
I
film, bro.
don't want to go back to the theater until March. Sorry.
Well, you're not
What are you talking about?
the Batman.
I said that's what I said.
Yeah, but what?
I said I don't want to go back till
Right?
March. Do you know it's in March?
Yeah, the Batman.
Yes.
Right. No, but I'm like, you were gonna see this movie. I know you were. You were going to eventually see this movie.
Yeah, probably like eventually, like once it was either out on Blu-ray or
I don't get it. I'm
yeah,
still trying. Like,
this
don't get it.
movie doesn't excite me.
But Venom
Wait,
does.
yes, because Venom 1 was good.
Oh God, that's okay. That's gonna end the show.
What? No, 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 no. Why don't you like Venom?
Venom 1 is like awfully paced. Like the first 30 minutes are just like
But
god awful.
Venom. But Venom.
Yeah, Venom's great. Tom Hardy is great, but I have like problems with they're funny, they're goofy, they're wacky. That's what they're meant to be. Morbius is a little darker. That might be a little
I get it. Because you
too
support
dark for
murder.
you. No, I'm joking.
You support it.
But yeah, I'm excited for this film. It's been delayed a seventh time. Alex was 15 when this movie was supposed to come out.
Mm-hmm.
I was 16. I'm 18 now, and he's 7. It's crazy.
I'm 7?
17. You know, it's
Nah, I'm 7.
oh no, oh man. But yeah,
7
Alex,
years old.
any other thoughts before we wrap the show up?
17 years old and I got a bad back. That's
Is
what I
that
think,
your fine?
honestly. When I think of the Bad Batch, that's honestly when I want to start calling it is the Bad Batch, because it's the Bad Batch of Star Wars.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh god. Always got to be a Bad Batch reference in the show.
The
Can't wait to
Bad Batch.
review it later this year.
Have you decided who you're going to review it with?
What the Bad Batch?
No. Wait, is Bad Batch actually coming out this year?
Yeah,
Has it been announced to come out, or is it just
yeah,
rumored?
yeah. It was.
By who?
It was literally announced on the Star Wars Twitter like 2 days before the finale. Do you not remember this?
No? Prove it. Yep. Don't end the show. You just got to prove it.
Alex, this is
Why-
ridiculous.
While we're doing this, I am getting ready to start printing some of my Infinity Stones in their
Awesome.
holders. I'm working on the Eye of Agamotto right now.
Is it going to pull it up?
I just want to make sure you're not like fake newsing me right now, you know?
Why would I fake news you, Alex?
I don't know. Drew? I don't know. Why do you do anything?
Here we go. I got it. See? Look,
Return to
Star Wars: The Bad
Oh,
Batch.
that's a Photoshop.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I'm Andrew Garfield. Yeah.
Exactly. Which, by the way, like, has he responded yet to like
No,
all of? Oh my gosh, he still hasn't done an interview yet.
no, no. So, am I gonna have to get somebody to review The Bad Batch, or?
You might have to.
Oh God. Oh
No,
God.
I'm joking. I'll be here for it. Regretfully
Just not
so.
speaking. Just not speaking. Just here.
Just shaking my
Okay.
head and smiling.
That's gonna wrap the show up, guys. We'll be back next Wednesday for our Book of Boba. Just slap the mic. A Book of Boba Fett episode 3.
Are you sure it's
Recap.
episode 3?
What?
Are you sure it's episode 3?
It is.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
because today was episode 2.
Oh. How? Oh. I don't mean to be that guy, but I'll tell you after. Never mind.
Wait, say it now.
Do you really want me to tell you it live?
Yeah, I do.
I won't be here next week. I got an in service for my job that I must go to.
Awesome. I'll get Derek on or somebody. Maybe. Yeah. Who knows?
Solo
Uh,
show.
yeah, maybe. Yeah. Let's go wrap up the show, guys. May the force be with you, and may you stay burdened with glorious purpose.